There are several news out there about Assassin's Creed Nexus, the newly announced VR game, coming from many different sources, and in this video we're going to discuss everything that we were able to gather, including its main characters and settings, all the gameplay info we currently know about stealth, parkour and the assassinations, the details on the modern day story of the game, and all the various VR and accessibility features of the game. So let's put our visor on and let's have a look at all the Assassin's Creed Nexus news. So let's start with the basics. Assassin's Creed Nexus is the newly announced fully fledged VR game that will be launched in the holiday season exclusively on the Oculus, MetaQuest 2, MetaQuest 3 and MetaQuest Pro platforms at a currently unannounced price, although the top titles for the Quest platforms usually cap at $40. At the recent Ubisoft Forward event, fans were presented with a trailer that did not show actual gameplay, but pre-rendered footage, so we can expect the game to look different from what we see here, and more similar to what we see in the screenshots. As you might already know, and as it was hinted at by the mystery code revealed before Ubisoft Forward, in Nexus we'll be playing as Cassandra from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Ezio Auditore from, well, any piece of Assassin's Creed media ever, and Connor from Assassin's Creed 3. These are the same characters that had already been cited in the rumors about the game last year, although these rumors also mentioned the potential presence of Haytham Kenway too, but apparently he didn't make it to the final version of the game. Gameplay-wise, Nexus will be a VR game where we play in first person in a number of open maps set in ancient Greece, Italy and in North America, and being the maps open with 360 degrees navigation, after the first more linear missions, players will be able to move wherever they like within the section of the towns they will play in, and they will get the chance to meet historical figures, civilians and enemies who will react to their actions. Players will also be able to climb and parkour through the environment around them as they see fit, being able also to run over rooftops and even performing the leap of faith if that is to their liking. The game will also have a combat system, which seems pretty standard, where players will have to use real-world motions to attack, block, parry and counterattack, and through our main characters we'll be able to wield different melee and ranged weapons, including of course the hidden blades, which will also allow us to perform some air assassinations, but also swords, the tomahawk for Connor, bows, crossbows, throwing knives and smoke bombs, all of which will require players to grab them from their own virtual body before using them. There will also be a diversified use of the weapons amidst the characters though. For example, Ezio and Connor will wield 2 hidden blades, while Cassandra too will be wielding 1, making it technically the first time we will play as Cassandra with a hidden blade, as confirmed by Clémence Nogri, the associate creative director on the Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla crossover. But that's not the only diversification of weapons between characters, as Ezio will wield a one-handed crossbow, while Connor has a standard bow and Cassandra has a special bow, and also Ezio and Cassandra will wield swords while Connor has his tomahawk. There is also a mention about axe throwing, which I'd imagine will be limited to Connor's tomahawk. It seems like a good year for stealth, as not only Mirage will focus on that aspect, but Nexus too, in its own way, bringing traditional stealth elements like throwing objects to stage distractions, and also social stealth elements like hiding in crowds. Finally, it seems like the dev team also did their accessibility work for people that might get motion sickness, introducing standard elements in VR games like teleporting, which allows to teleport to nearby locations, or even to teleport into climbing and parkour for players that would like to avoid free locomotion in the game. And considering that stealth and detection are a thing in the game, the dev team have also added an awareness warning feedback that will let the players know when a teleport movement would actually get them spotted. Other similar features will include the dynamic vignetting, blacking out the edges of the screen to help with the peripheral vision, and also, when players are standing in high places, the appearance of a so-called subliminal grid to give players a sense of grounding underneath their feet should they have fear of heights or vertigo. Story-wise, we do already know a bit of the narrative concerning the 3 main characters, and it has also been confirmed that there will be a modern-day plot that will tie them together. More specifically, the modern-day story will revolve around Abstergo Industries, who is once again looking for ancient artifacts that can profile anyone via their lifetime of memories and then use those profiles to manipulate their beliefs. In Nexus, we, the players, will be hired by the assassins to go work undercover for Abstergo as they are exploring the lives of Ezio, Connor, and Cassandra because at some point in their life they had encountered such artifacts. Thus, by playing the Ezio, Connor, and Cassandra missions, players will try and sabotage Abstergo's plan to put their hands on the artifacts while also supposedly try to solve a mystery across time. As for the historical missions, following the order shown in the trailer, we know that Connor's mission will be intermingled with the events of Assassin's Creed 3 as it's going to be set in Boston in 1776 and 1777. In the mission, Connor will be contacted by his mentor Achilles to rescue an imprisoned member of the Sons of Liberty organization in Boston, and from there, according to the Nexus website, the mission will be about espionage, intrigue, and betrayal. Cassandra's story, instead, will be set in Athens 20 years after the Battle of Amphipolis. That's the battle that took place in 422 BCE, and that was portrayed right before the end of the family storyline in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, showing one of the final fights between Cassandra and Alexios, and also the death of fan-favorite General Brasidas. Thus, the mission in Nexus will take place 20 years later, and it will be still set in a battle between Athens and Sparta, more specifically during the time when the so-called 30 Tyrants brutally ruled Athens. It's worth noting that the 30 Tyrants was an actual group of pro-Spartan leaders that ruled Athens for a brief time after Athens' defeat in the Peloponnesian War, even though that actually lasted for 8 months in 404 BCE, so nitpicking it a little bit, that would be slightly less than 20 years after the Battle of Amphipolis. Lastly, we focus on this guy, who some believe to be Ezio Auditore, but we all know they're lying, and his mission in Nexus is set in 1509, 2 years after the events of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood in Rome. Through his mission, which seems to be set in Venice, Ezio will apparently reunite with some of the members of the Auditore family, I'd imagine we're talking about Claudia here, and also some old friends such as Leonardo da Vinci. 1509 is also the year where Ezio finds documents about Altair's library in Masyaf, so we might get some nods to Revelations as well in this mission. So that's more or less what we currently know about Nexus so far, with likely some more news and proper gameplay coming up in the coming months, but of course Nexus wasn't the only game presented at the Ubisoft Forward event. In fact, another game that was announced and that I'm pretty excited about was Assassin's Creed Codename Jade, the mobile game set in ancient China, for which we have prepared a video chock full of all the news we have gathered so far. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.